What is going on, Legionnaires? Welcome back to the channel. Today, it's time to talk about a lovable little robot that has popped up here in the past couple of weeks, none other than Herbie from the Fantastic Four. It's a fun character, especially why the character exists. We're going to dive into all of that right after this. Huge shout out to the channel sponsors, Big Time Collectibles. If you need an online retailer for exclusives, con books, mystery boxes, monthly mystery boxes, all kinds of cool stuff, check them out. A huge shout out to JustinComicx. If you need anything cleaned or pressed, be sure to hit him up. And if you're looking for some regular old comic books that drop every week or any kind of tabletop gaming goodness, check out my LCS, ABX Comics and Games. They got you covered. They have a fantastic Facebook group where you can get introduced to the hobby of comics and gaming and all that good stuff. The links are in the description to all my videos. Be sure to check them out. So let's get into it. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Oh, I do want to remind everyone, Comics Curing Cancer. This year, we will be at Heroes Con Convention at booth number 1769. Be sure to get your tickets for Heroes Con. Come by, say hey to Rob, DJ, and myself. We'll all three be there together at the table. The Comics Curing Cancer 2024 event is officially kicked off. You can hit that QR code right there or go over to Instagram and follow the C3 page directly there so you won't miss out on any updates, announcements, any of that good stuff. C3 is going to be huge this year. We're working very hard to expand it from last year to make it as good as possible. So we appreciate each and everybody's help, at the bare minimum, sharing out, spreading the word, and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. Herbie the Robot, the fifth member of the Fantastic Four, but isn't the last member, but that we will be focusing on Herbie today. That lovable robot right there popped up here recently, and I figured I'd talk about it. Last Monday, I did a video unboxing and showing off the first comic book appearance that I had. Even have one that by the time this video released Monday, I'll have given this one away on At Week's End. I do that live stream every Sunday night. And yeah, so Herbie, he popped up in everyone's discussion when this image right here dropped. Disney dropped it on Valentine's Day, featuring the cast and the official announcement of who will be playing the Fantastic Four in Disney's MCU moving forward. And in that photo, we got a picture of Herbie right there, confirming that Herbie the Robot will be part of the movie. So I said in that video last week, I'll touch on and talk about Herbie in a video moving forward. So here that video is. So let's get into it. You got to start at the beginning with any good story, and that's with Fantastic Four issue number 1. This is Marvel's first family. They first appeared in Marvel Comics Fantastic Four issue number 1 back in August 8th of 1961, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. They featured Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, the Thing. The characters would not stop there in comic books, because not long after that, in 1967, they took to the screens at home in an animated television series produced by Hanna-Barbera that ran for approximately a year. You got about 20 episodes out of it, but the popularity did not stop there. And not long after that, in 1978, a second season was ordered, this time not from Hanna-Barbera, and this time there were some problems that were going on. As you can see from the slated cast right there, there is no Human Torch. You have in Human Torch's place Herbie. Now, why is that? Why is there no Human Torch? Well, at the time, Human Torch was licensed out by Universal Studios for a film that they wanted to do that never came to pass. And despite the film not working out, Universal would not let go of the rights and give it back to them to have him featured in that cartoon. At the time, Marvel was doing all kinds of live action stuff for television, little movies and stuff. You had the most famous, obviously, being The Incredible Hulk, but you had a Doctor Strange movie, Captain America, Spider-Man, and some more. But since they couldn't use the Human Torch, they had to think of somebody else. Now, this is the fun part. Thinking about the idea, the possibility of using the Human Torch at that time, with all the special effects and everything, what would it even been like? A lot of people don't even know about the early 1990s Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie. Now, we're talking not 90s, but in the 70s, they're going to try to do a Human Torch. Let's take a pause and just look at what the Human Torch looked like in the 1990s and just imagine what would he have been like in the 1970s.
I've been wanting to blow up that destructor way since I was a kid. Flame on!
that's what he looked like in the 90s. I can't even imagine what they would have tried to do back then, but that couldn't use him. Couldn't use him. We never got the movie. Thankfully, probably, who knows? Who knows? It might have been something fun to look back on and laugh. Now, this is where the story kind of gets a little bit interesting because we have to create a different character. The reason why is kind of there's a myth attached to it and the reality attached to it. So first off, let's look at who they decided to put in this place. And that's none other than Herbie, which stands for Humanoid Experimental Robot B-Type Integrated Electronics. This is an idea that Stan Lee himself came up with. He decided he wants a little cute robot in this place, and Jack Kirby helped design it. This is credited as Jack Kirby's last work for Marvel before leaving to go over to DC. He worked on some of the storyboards and stuff for this cartoon. Now, obviously, he would spend a good time at DC creating the Fourth World and beyond, and he would go back to Marvel, but this was his last credited work up to that point. And once we go back and look at it, the whole myth behind it, why they went with a robot versus an all-new character or something, is they state that the myth goes that Marvel was afraid that kids would want to play with fire. We're creating a kids cartoon, have a fire character. We can't do that. We need to do something else. That was the whole myth attached to it. But in reality, it was just a licensing issue. If that myth were true, you would have to try to explain Starfire from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. They wanted to use Human Torch over there, but they also were not able to. They, we ended up with Iceman, Starfire, and Spider-Man instead of Iceman, Human Torch, and Spider-Man. But that isn't where this character stopped at all. Obviously, when anything gets popular enough in TV shows, it tends to find its ways into comic books. We've seen it happen numerous times. Harley Quinn is a great example that first appeared in a TV show and then found her way into comic books, and now one of like the tentpole female characters for DC Comics. But it wasn't too long after Herbie's appearance in that TV show that he made his way into comic books in Fantastic Four issue 209 in 1979. Now, this was credited as having Marv Wolfman and John Byrne are credited with the comic book creation of Herbie. Despite the character already existing, they're the ones that brought Herbie into comic books. So again, this is the book that made me want to stop and do the pause and talk about how Herbie came to be a comic book character and why we'll be seeing Herbie in the movie. Are you excited to see Herbie added on? I'm glad that we're not sacrificing any of the original 4 cast members to get Herbie there. And if you paid close enough attention to what we already have with the Fantastic Four movies, Herbie did make an appearance in one of the previous films. It was in, I believe it was a deleted scene. It was from the Fantastic Four, the most recent one, Fan Four Stick, the one that just did not do good at all, one bit. The one that came after Rise of the Silver Surfer, the reboot. So we had the 2, then the reboot. Now we're rebooting again, but Herbie did make a little low-key appearance as just like a robot that was just sitting on a shelf. But I'm excited to see what they do with Herbie, and I'm interested to see what they do with the Fantastic Four. Leave me a comment down below. Are you a fan of Herbie? Do you remember that old cartoon? Do you remember them tricking Magneto with the wooden gun and everything? It's just interesting character, and even more interesting seeing the journey that some of these characters take being created, brought into comics, and just thinking now after all of this time, we'll be getting a silver screen appearance. I appreciate everybody watching this far. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel, and hitting that join button to become a channel member and help support the channel, or check out some of the cool merch down below. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.